It began with a message I was never supposed to see. Not a long one, not emotional. Just 4 words that didn't belong on my girlfriend's phone. Did you tell him? I read it by accident, or maybe fate shoved it in my face, when her phone buzzed on the counter while she was in the shower. Nothing about it made sense. Tell me what? Who was that number? Why did she delete the notification the second she came out? But I didn't say anything, not yet, because sometimes silence tells you more than questions ever could. She acted normal, almost too normal, humming while getting dressed, pretending she wasn't watching me in her peripheral vision, like she was waiting for me to react. And later that night, she picked a fight over something so small it didn't even deserve a reaction. My tone, my mood, the way I asked how her day was. It was the kind of argument someone starts when they're trying to justify leaving before they've even packed. Then came the moment everything shifted. We were eating dinner, or pretending to, when she suddenly dropped her fork, wiped her hands, and said it as casually as if she were announcing the weather. I'm going away for the weekend. No explanation, no details, no invitation for questions. Her eyes didn't match her voice. They were darting, restless, like she was checking an invisible clock only she could see. Away where? I asked. She paused, a little too long. With my aunt. She hasn't been feeling well. That was her mistake. Her aunt had posted pictures 2 days earlier, smiling, grilling, hosting a backyard party. Perfectly fine. Perfectly healthy. But I didn't call her on it. I just watched her lie with the confidence of someone who had practiced it. Her phone buzzed again. She snatched it face down before even looking at me. And that's when I knew this wasn't a weekend. This wasn't family. This wasn't space. This was preparation. She packed fast, too fast, tossing clothes into her suitcase like someone trying to outrun their own conscience. When she hugged me goodbye, it felt rehearsed. Like she'd done it in the mirror to make sure it didn't look suspicious. But the real crack in the mask came as she walked out. Her phone lit up again. And in the reflection of our hallway mirror, I saw the message she tried to hide. I booked the room. Can't wait to see you. She didn't know I saw it. She didn't know her little weekend trip had just become the beginning of something else. She didn't know that the moment she closed the door, my entire world shifted from confusion to clarity, because she wasn't going to visit her aunt. She was going to meet him. And she had no idea I was about to follow the trail she thought she'd buried. I didn't follow her right away. People make mistakes when they rush, and I needed her mistakes more than I needed answers. So I waited. 15 minutes. Long enough for her to believe I was still sitting on the couch, replaying her goodbye like a clueless, heartbroken idiot. Instead, I opened her laptop, not to snoop, not at first. Just searching for anything that could explain the sudden distance. The deleted messages. The weekend getaway booked behind my back. Her email was logged in, a habit of hers. A mistake for her. I went straight to the trash folder, because liars always forget it exists. And there it was. A confirmation email she didn't expect me to see. A hotel reservation. 2 guests, 1 room. A place 2 cities over, nowhere near her aunt's house. But what sent a cold wave through my chest wasn't the booking itself. It was the timestamp. She made the reservation 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks of pretending. 3 weeks of leaning on my shoulder, kissing my cheek, telling me she loved me, while planning a getaway with someone else. The worst part? The note attached to the booking. Same place as last time. I'll handle the rest. Last time. There had been a last time. That's when something inside me broke, not with anger, but with clarity. This wasn't a sudden shift. This wasn't a one-time betrayal. This was a pattern she perfected long before guilt ever kicked in. I closed the laptop softly, like the truth might scream if I wasn't quiet enough. I packed a bag. Not to confront her. Not yet. Revenge isn't a storm, it's erosion. Slow, steady, deliberate. Before I walked out, I checked her location, the feature she insisted we keep on, for safety. And there she was, moving steadily down the highway, right toward that hotel. Not too close. Not too fast. Not like some desperate man chasing after a woman who already replaced him. More like someone tracking a story that had been rewritten behind his back. Halfway through the drive, a new notification popped up on her shared calendar. Something she must have forgotten was synced to mine. A reminder titled, "Bring the envelope." Envelope, no description. No details, but the wording was wrong. It wasn't romantic. It wasn't affectionate. It sounded like a transaction. Like she wasn't just planning to betray me, she was planning something bigger. When I finally reached the hotel, I parked far enough to stay unseen. Her car was already there, tucked into a corner like she didn't want attention. I watched from across the lot as she stepped out, hurried, nervous, checking her reflection in the window before walking inside. She looked different. Not guilty. Not scared. Empowered. Like she was walking into a life she'd been building without me. Minutes later, he arrived. The man from the messages, tall, confident, moving like he owned every room he entered. He didn't look like a fling. He didn't look like a stranger. He looked like someone who thought he had a claim on her. But that wasn't the part that tightened my jaw. It was the envelope in his hand. The same envelope she was reminded to bring. Only she didn't have hers, because it was still at home. Sitting in the drawer she thought I never opened. The drawer I opened the moment she left. The drawer that held a truth she hoped would never surface. A truth I hadn't even processed yet. Because inside that envelope was something with my name on it. I didn't open the envelope right away. Not because I was scared of what was inside, but because part of me still believed there had to be another explanation. Something logical. Something human. Something that didn't turn my relationship into a lie overnight. But logic doesn't hide itself in drawers. Guilt does. I sat in my car across from the hotel, the dim glow of the streetlight washing over the name she wrote in neat handwriting. To be given to him when it's time. When it's time. Like I was some final step in a plan I never agreed to. I slipped the paper out and unfolded it. My heart didn't break. My hands didn't shake. Nothing dramatic happened. I just stopped. Because the letter was not a confession. Not an apology. Not even a goodbye. It was instructions, specific ones, cold ones. Almost rehearsed ones. Things she wanted from me. Things she needed me to sign. Things she wanted transferred under her name. And everything pointed to one fact. She wasn't just leaving me. She was preparing for life without me. A life she expected me to quietly bankroll, as if my role in her story was to disappear cleanly and conveniently. But the last line was the one that changed everything. Once he signs, we move forward. We. Her and the man who just walked into that hotel lobby. It wasn't a weekend escape. It wasn't a fling. It wasn't even a secret relationship. It was a partnership. A coordinated one. And I was the obstacle. I set the letter down, exhaling slowly as the pieces finally clicked. This wasn't about love or space or needing time to think. This was a setup. And I was the final box they needed to check before cutting me out clean. The hotel doors slid open just then. He came out first, adjusting his jacket like someone preparing for a very specific conversation. She followed seconds later, calm, collected, her expression steady in a way I hadn't seen in months. They weren't hiding anymore. They weren't cautious. They weren't nervous. They were confident. Because they believed I was home, waiting, unsuspecting, holdable. Watching them walk side by side toward his car lit a slow burn in my chest. Not rage, not heartbreak. Something colder, something clearer. A realization she had a plan. But she wasn't the only one capable of one. The man opened the trunk of his car, took out a sleek black folder, the kind attorneys carry, and handed it to her discreetly. She skimmed it quickly, nodded, and tucked it under her arm. Documents, agreements, efforts to control every outcome of a story I didn't know I was in. Then she said something I couldn't hear, but I didn't need to. Her smile told me everything. She thought I would sign. She thought I would accept. She thought I would fade into the background of her new life. She underestimated the man she built that life on. She got into his car. He pulled out of the lot. They headed toward the main road, toward whatever next step they had drafted behind my back. And as their taillights disappeared into the night, I finally understood the truth. This wasn't emotional. This wasn't romantic. This wasn't personal. It was strategic, calculated. And that meant one thing. They weren't just betraying me. They were using me. But they made one fatal mistake. They left me out of the plan too early. Because the moment I put that letter back into the envelope, I knew exactly what I needed to do next. And it wasn't forgiveness. It was exposure. I waited until the next morning. Patience, I reminded myself, is the silent weapon no one respects until it's too late. First, I called the law firm she had used to draft those documents. A few carefully chosen words later, the staff confirmed what I suspected. Everything she had tried to slip into motion was legally precarious. Nothing would hold if I acted decisively. Next, I began retracing their steps. Every meeting, every transaction, every whispered conversation had left a digital footprint. Phone logs, receipts, emails, texts, every move they'd thought was secret was now a roadmap, and I had the map. By the evening, I had compiled everything, a dossier of evidence so complete it left no room for dispute. Then I did something I never imagined I'd do. I confronted her, not with yelling, not with begging, not with pleading. I sent a single message: we need to talk. Come to the cafe at 6, no games. When she arrived, she expected tears, fury, or at least panic. She got none. I sat across from her, dossier on the table. Her eyes flickered from the stack of papers to me, searching for some trace of the man she once controlled. There was none. I know everything, I said calmly. Every meeting, every plan, every attempt to sideline me. You underestimated me. Her face drained of color. For the first time, the confident woman who had humiliated me, manipulated me, and planned her escape looked small. I thought you'd just sign, she whispered. I thought you'd just disappear, I replied. But I don't disappear, I respond. And what you plan to take by deceit, I'm reclaiming through truth. The next few hours were a blur. Conversations with lawyers, notifications to banks, formal cancellations. I acted fast, precise, unflinching. By the end of the day, the power dynamic had shifted completely. She had expected me to play the victim. Instead, she faced consequences for every calculated move she made against me. Weeks later, the divorce was finalized, clean, complete, and entirely on my terms. No theatrics, no manipulations, no lingering control over my life. And as I walked into my own apartment for the first time, guitar in hand, gym bag by the door, and shelves full of books I'd finally had time to enjoy, I realized something crucial. Revenge isn't about making someone suffer. It's about reclaiming yourself. It's about walking away from control, manipulation, and disrespect and refusing to ever look back. She got what she wanted, a life free of me. I got what I needed, freedom, clarity, and self-respect. The man who once begged for love? Gone. The man who now stood tall in his own life? Unstoppable. And that, my friends, is the real story. I have selected another story for you. I will see you in the next story.